us for a couple of hours on a beautiful day. Daydream.
This is episode 38 of Ripe Avocados. We're going to look at The Wild Robot. It's not necessarily brand new, but from DreamWorks. It was just up for some animated stuff at the Academy Awards. I think it won Best Animated Picture. What was this movie about, Sean? How did it end?
So this movie was about a robot named Roz. Has a longer name, Rosm71, whatever. But she goes by Roz throughout this movie. And she washes up ashore on this island with all these animals. And her programming is supposed to allow her to complete any task that a human gives her and tells her to do, basically, and she'll complete that task. So if they tell her to go vacuum the house, she'll do it. If they tell her to move the car out the driveway, she'll go do that. But she has to find her purpose on this island with all these animals that she can't communicate with, and she stumbles across the cutest little goose bird of all time. Like, one of the cutest animals on screen, I have to admit. The globe was not there. Turned into turned into quite the ugly duckling, but she basically has to raise this little bird who she calls holy shit.
Bright Bill,
thank you. She raises Bright Bill, and she has to teach him how to eat, swim, and then fly. And the whole movie is basically just like showing how a mother loves their child no matter what, even if it's a robot that has no programming to feel emotions and have love for someone. Those emotions overcome her programming, and she devotes her whole time in life basically to raising Bright Bill and allowing him to migrate north when the winter comes. And after doing all that, I mean, she also turns into just Noah from the Noah's Ark story, basically saving all the animals when winter comes.
From the Bible.
Yeah, honestly. And creates a home and a beautiful little ecosystem where they're not trying to kill each other the whole time. And they all work together. And when Bright Bill comes back from migrating north after the winter season ends, Roz had sent out a distress beacon to return home because she thought Bright Bill was going to be a spoiled brat that she still loved but wouldn't love his mom when he got back, and he still wants her there, except one of those sentient monsters that's from the Matrix movies with all the little coils comes to return her, and they stop her from that. But Roz realizes the only way she can kind of save the island and the animals there is to return back to where she was made, so they don't keep coming back and destroying the island trying to retrieve her. One of the things, the biggest thing was, oh my god, if she goes back, is she really going to remember Bright Bill? Because they'll just reprogram her or reset her, reboot her system, and she'll forget everything. But through the power of animation and storytelling and a little plot armor, she's like, nah, I remember this right here in my heart.
Well, she rips her like motherboard out of her chest at the very end too. So I thought that was signifying
she like,
something too.
She ripped her battery pretty much out to save Bright Bill when she's falling from the thing. But even before that, on the ship, they like drill into her head and basically shut her off. But Bright Bill, just like nestling his head against her neck, reboots her and starts her heart back up pretty much.
Yeah, it's movie magic, but I think it plays very well. So do you want to do the scores and then we'll jump into the analysis here?
Yeah.
All right, so for entertainment score, which is how good it was, did it suck? Did it not? I went 9.3 here.
Literally written down 9.3 for me as well.
So 9.3s across the board. So the characters score, this is pretty self-explanatory. How good were the characters? Acting, and whatnot. It's a little bit different with animated movies, but I went 8-8 here for characters. I thought they were fantastic.
We might be very similar across the board here. Characters, I went 8-9.
Okay, nice. Cinematography, I had an 8-3 written down for this one.
We might be a little off then. Cinematography, I went 9-4.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right, and then writing, obviously the plot. Oh no, this was actually my lowest score. I went 7-9 here for writing.
Not writing, I went 9-0.
Jesus Christ! All right, so I will leave. I guess we're not going to be as off as you think. So I wrote this down. First of all, I would love a sequel of this movie. I think they probably will do that, considering DreamWorks has kind of had a history of. I mean, everybody sequels. Everybody does them. But I also wrote down this might be. All right, Mad Lib this. The Wild Robot is a top blank DreamWorks movie of all time.
Top 5?
Yeah, I think it's easily 5. The one,
Yeah.
I'd say it's easily in the top 5. The only ones I have above it, which you could argue maybe one or two more would be added to this list: Shrek 2, Shrek 1, How to Train Your Dragon, and that is maybe How to Train Your Dragon 2 or Madagascar 1. But I thought this was better than Madagascar.
Now, I do love. This is definitely a top 5 for me, for sure. Especially watching it the second time. I didn't realize how much I was going to love this again. How to Train Your Dragon, of course, is up there. Shrek.
Yeah, I don't think it
I
touches
love
those
Kung Fu
two.
Panda. I'm
Yeah.
not going to lie.
Yeah, that's a really good one as well. I'd say it's in that same realm as Kung Fu Panda, but it seems more. This movie moves. I mean, this will just get into all the elements of why it's so good. It's a very positive story, and honestly, bro, I wrote down that DreamWorks is. They seem to be on a much hotter spree than any of like the Disney animated stuff I've seen as of late, and it might. I don't want to get right into the nitty gritty, but this plot was so simple, but so effective because of how much I think it just resonates with everybody that's watching it. It's just about a mother and a child, and obviously they don't look anything apart, but through leaps and bounds and a lot of plot armor, no pun intended, like you mentioned before, it works really well. And I care so much about Bright Bill. I care so much about Roz, obviously, and Fink, who's voiced by Pedro Pascal. I didn't even realize that till the very end.
Yeah, that was crazy. Because it doesn't sound like him at all.
Right. And I mean, I could kind of recognize the voice. It's one of those you're not really sure, and then you slap your knee when you see the rolling credits at the end. But he was great too. I thought his character was really reminiscent of Diego from Ice Age, like pretty similar storyline. He tries to literally kill the child, and then ends up being its like guardian and protector. Yeah, but that works. And again, DreamWorks just kind of took bits and pieces from a lot of different story arcs like that. I honestly thought the whole we'll complete every task reminded me a little bit of the Lannisters saying like we'll always repay our debts. Obviously they're probably not taking shit from Game of Thrones, but it sort of reminded me of that.
Yeah, no, I don't think the Wild Robot took any inspiration from Game of Thrones for sure.
No, definitely not. But I just didn't think the plot was too complicated at all. It really didn't have a crazy evil antagonist. It was just sort of not dystopian, but just futuristic world in which I don't know. It's obviously frowned upon for a robot to go off grid like that, but there's so many positive aspects that can come from just the added knowledge all the animals get. And obviously it's fictitious or whatever, but who fucking knows? Maybe down the road in 1,000 years AI will be able to translate squirrels' dialect and we'll solve all the problems.
Yeah. I mean, look, like you can't sugarcoat this at all. It's an animated movie with talking animals. Like we're not trying to say like, oh, a robot needs to be sent out into the wild and it can help like bears and squirrels get together and be friends. But the overarching themes of the movie, motherhood and her child, but also finding out like where you actually belong. That's like the biggest point of this movie, right? Bright Bill learning that like he should be with his geese. He migrates north. He comes back. Like that's his family. But also Roz is his family. And Roz is pretty much the mother to everyone on that island, all the animals. So like her place was definitely on the island. It shouldn't have been, oh, Bright Bill like needs to find his place with his geese and Roz needs to find her place back home serving humans. Like her place was helping those animals and helping them get along and build that beautiful little ecosystem they had.
Right. Yeah. I just thought the characters played well off of one another really, really effectively. And there were only 3 major characters, and they got a ton of screen time as a result. I mean, most of this movie is just Roz talking to Bright Bill or Fink. Basically, or herself. And yeah, like you and I are pretty on the same path here with our character score. So like, why'd you think cinematography was as high as you did? You had a 9.4 written down.
So, for one, I love animated movies. I love animated shows. Big into anime, you know me. And that's not like an Asian joke or anything, but
No.
like
I wasn't thinking
the
that.
Spider-Man movies, Into the Spider-Verse, Beyond the Spider-Verse, absolutely love those movies. And I feel like if a movie can tell a story so effectively through animation, like you don't need humans to evoke those emotions through their facial expressions and how they're saying these lines. This is simply just voice acting and then animation. And it still was tugging at my heartstrings more than any other movie I've watched before. I think it's a testament to the animation, but also the cinematography and how they're showing those scenes through the animation. And I mean, dude, the montage alone of Roz teaching Bright Bill how to fly, the music in the background, that whole montage just got me so pumped up. And then when Bright Bill finally goes and flies away, and it's just the music stops, she's a robot, and you can still see her facial expressions. Just makes you want to break down into tears. I mean, it's just such an emotional movie. It's fun. It was great.
But why do you think it's so emotional? It has to just for me. Or you go ahead. You go first.
For me, it's the connection that Roz has with Bright Bill as she's his mother. That happens to me for any movie. This reminded me a lot of a movie I only saw as a kid. I haven't seen it in a while, but it was shit, what is it called? Land Before Time is the Will Ferrell movie.
The Lion King. Are you talking
No,
about
it's the one with... Oh, no. Yeah, The Land Before Time with Littlefoot.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that movie? He's the long-necked dinosaur, and his mom dies in that movie, and I remember it's ingrained in my brain as a kid watching that. I just, like, broke down. It was like... Maybe it's just because, like, the bond I have with my mom as well, but...
Well, no, that was Mufasa dying for me. I think every kid kind of has that scene that they don't want to watch again. It's
Right.
tough, you know?
Yeah. And just, like, seeing Roz... I mean, dude, she's a fucking robot, and she grows an emotional bond with this little bird. It's like... The dialogue in this movie is fantastic, too, and, again, it just kind of makes you more emotional as you're watching it, but... You see, the reason why Roz has to take care of Bright Bill is because she's chased by the bear, crashes into the tree, it falls, and Bright Bill's like family dies pretty much, and he's just the last egg there left to hatch. And one of the things that Longneck, the older goose, tells Bright Bill when Bright Bill is kind of like in between wanting to be a part of the goose family and also distancing himself from Roz a little bit, being like, oh, you actually killed my mother, like, you're not my mom, I don't belong with you. Longneck tells him, like, hey, you see how, like, short your wings are? If Roz didn't teach you how to fly, if that accident didn't happen where Roz accidentally killed your family, you would have never been able to migrate north with us. Like, you would have died here. So Roz raising you basically saved your life.
This movie was just essentially the best marketing tool for AI positive things there are. Like, there could possibly be. This is like the best case scenario. You put one of these things and they do your gardening until they've completed your task, and then they move on. But they're super friendly, and then they'll develop connections with your dog and whatever.
I know, it's one of the few movies where it's like AI gains consciousness and it doesn't start absolutely murdering everyone.
I mean, it's very, very comparable to WALL-E. Obviously, I think probably a lot of people make that connection. A little bit different plot-wise, but overall, WALL-E's just looking for human connection, or physical connection in some way. He gets that with Eve, and this just happens to be interracial, I guess. And
dude, I don't know what it is. You just put like big eyes on anything animated and they turn into the cutest thing of all time.
I did actually write down Bright Bill was maybe the cutest animated character of all time when he was a duckling.
Yeah.
And also the monologue he had. So we could talk a little bit about the writing. I had it as 7.9, so not low by any means, but you obviously had it a little higher. I did love the elements that they just included of the family aspect when he's building the house and putting like the tiny little sticks on there, and Roz is getting pissed at him, but she still does it. Obviously, it's just a part of motherhood or whatever, and they make all of these direct connections to that. And I know a lot of moms watch this and just eat that shit up, and DreamWorks just nailed it on the head. Like, this is a very awesome movie. I think it has like the right backing behind it, the right morals and stuff. It's not trying to divide anything or get political at all. It's just saying like you could find like love anywhere. And I said this to you offline, but this would be one of my nominees for Best Picture from 2024. It was definitely the best animated thing I saw into movie wise. I don't even know if I don't think I saw Inside Out 2, but I heard that was pretty good. But I don't know, man. I think DreamWorks has Disney's number right now. I really like the stuff. I mean, this new How to Train Your Dragon movie, we'll see how that is. But
dude, I mean, Disney alone can just survive on their name and their revenue, but the quality versus the quantity is the real thing with Disney. They just pump too much bullshit out.
They pump too many remakes out that are they're remakes. They're not original content. And DreamWorks literally made their biggest animated show or movie series is making fun of all of the Disney things.
Yeah.
And Shrek. So that's going to give us a final score of an 8.86. So we'll round that up to an 8.9 out of 10 here. And like we mentioned at the beginning, our scores are all average based on the characters, entertainment, value, so how good it was, cinematography, and the writing scores, all conjoined into one. You can see all those scores in our website, which will be linked in our bio, and go check out The Wild Robot. We definitely would give a thumbs up approval for this one. Yeah. So, Sean, if there's anything else you want to add?
Go watch us. Have a box of tissues next to you if you're watching it too. Deuces.
I dream of the places I've been.